I'm Annie Gishuru, and welcome to True Life Stories, where we share stories of people from all walks of life who are making a difference in our community, people who have undergone great challenges and overcome them to get to where they are. Today we meet a truly extraordinary lady whose journey has inspired many, and her strength in the face of adversity has given hope globally. Chelsea Dinsmore's story of loss and what we can do when we are faced with the darkest of times is not only uplifting, but it teaches about the power of choices and the impact that has on our lives and those around us. True Life Stories met with Chelsea, and this is her incredible story.
Scott and I met at University of California, Santa Barbara, which is where we were both attending university. And he was 1 year older than me in school, but we actually met through some mutual friends. I became really good friends with that friend group while he was studying abroad over the summer in London. And when he returned, he kind of zeroed in on me and had a different idea than I did, but obviously ended up getting what he wanted. He had a presence about him, and it was just an energy that I feel people were drawn to. And you can see that with the popularity of his TED Talk. He just has a charisma that he was really able to relate and to connect to people. He left every single year on my birthday to go to this investment conference. And so about 5 years of that, he said, you know what, I really owe you a good birthday treat. And he's like, I'm gonna pack your bags, I'm gonna take you away for the night. And then what he did was, I guess I was turning 26, and he had written out 26 things that he loved about me, and he was reading them off. And then number 26, he said, well, I want to be able to give you a hug after I say this one. So he got out, we were in a 4Runner, so a lifted up car, got out of the car, ran around, and then he said something like, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And then he got down on his knee. But because we were in a car, I was literally like so much higher than him. So he's down on the ground asking me if I want to marry him. And I just burst into tears, and he said I didn't answer him for like 20 minutes because I was so caught off guard. I was so surprised. When we both graduated from university, we basically both went into a corporate job that we hated, but we had both spent a lot of time abroad. We realized we just didn't want to walk the standard path, and we said, what does success mean to us? And in that moment, we kind of said, well, success means being able to do what we want, where we want, how we want, but in a way that's really gonna help people. It's not all about us. And so that was really that moment. We didn't realize it at the time, but that's when we were really planting the vision for our life.
Hey there, I'm Scott. This is my wife, Chelsea.
Hi.
She is the Chief Balance Officer at Live Your Legend, a very crucial role.
Live Your Legend is a movement, we call it, and it's really a community, though, that brings people together and gives them tools, resources, and community to help people find and do more meaningful work. Live Your Legend actually began just as an online platform, but after about a year or two of it being an online community, we actually here in Australia had some of our people in Sydney reach out and say, you know, this is really great, but I want to get together with these people. And so that was really the birth of Live Your Legend Local, which now we have Live Your Legend Local groups that get together on a monthly basis, providing that community that supports you in your dreams and your struggles and your successes. I think when we were both married, we totally thought that we were gonna have kids in a year, buy a house, do the whole deal. But then it was one of those things where we were sort of like sitting there waiting for that inspiration to come. And we did. We had this dream of traveling the world for a year. We went about making that dream a reality by taking a lot of really small steps. When all of our friends were buying houses, we remained in our 1-bedroom apartment with all used furniture, because what we were after was going on our trip. He always talked about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So when we went on this year around the world trip, he had a couple of things that were things that he really wanted to do, as did I.
Okay. Welcome to Kilimanjaro. About to start. We got porters wearing serious hiking boots. Ready to roll? Love you.
So we were on day 6 of our 8-day trek, and that was technically our summit day. We were going to summit the mountain and then go sleep in the crater and then re-summit the following morning.
4 a.m. departure.
We have to hike for like 3 hours with the headlights.
They said to wear 3 to 4 layers. Chelsea, you're going what, 6?
Oh yeah, I'm going as
6 layers.
You stand in a single file line when you're climbing Kilimanjaro. You walk very, very slow, only inches apart. I just recall hearing a sound from above, and I looked up. There was a group of climbers quite a bit ahead of us up the mountain, and I started to see just rocks cascading down the mountain. But in that moment, I looked up, and they were coming at just such fast speeds. And I recall having just a moment to decide, am I gonna go straight or right? And I dove, and we were wearing helmets and things. I dove to my right, and then I heard the sound of the boulders whizzing past, and my first reaction, of course, Scott was behind me in the line, was to look over and check on Scott. And it didn't register with me at the moment, but he was a bit down the face of the mountain, and I yelled to him. I said, "Scott," and he didn't move, but like I said, I didn't realize what was going on. My mind was not capable of really comprehending what had happened. I was the first person there, and that was the moment that I realized something major was wrong. He had some pretty severe injuries. His legs were definitely not really in good shape. They weren't quite where they were meant to be. And his right arm actually was completely severed below the elbow. At one point he did stop breathing, and so I gave him CPR, and he came back for a brief moment, and then it was pretty clear that he was gone. But it was a very precarious situation because we were 18,000 feet on a mountain where there had just been a rock fall. And thankfully, the group ahead of us was very, very highly trained mountaineers. They've climbed all 7 summits, done Everest many times, and so he came down and he came to me and he was like, "Chelsea, we need to get you to safety." And I said, "I'm not going anywhere." We ended up just going down the mountain, and there were 28 porters with us, so they carried Scott's body while I was with the guides walking down the mountain. And so it took about 5 hours, I think. They say that the cause of death was shock and excessive bleeding, really, because like I said, I honestly don't know with the injuries that he had. I'm not even sure if he would have made it if we were 2 feet from a hospital. It still hits me in different ways. But I think it was when, in that moment, where I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to be flying home from Africa alone." I said it aloud, and it really hit me then. But yeah, I mean, it continually hits you. I recall for the first time in my life feeling kind of hopeless right after this happened. When I returned back to San Francisco, I didn't really want to be here. I thought, what's the point? And what I've sort of realized is that hope is such a powerful emotion, and all I was focusing on was what I didn't have, instead of the amount of things that I still did. I mean, the amount of abundance that we all have in our lives just by literally being here is unbelievable. And it's easy to zero in on the things that we don't have or the things that are wrong. But when you can start to just shift your focus to everything that you do have, even in the midst of what you don't, that is powerful. And it makes you realize that, you know, maybe life doesn't always go exactly as you think it's going to, but there's still so much beauty in this moment, and that makes you grateful. My message of hope to everyone watching today is that you are so much more capable than you could ever imagine, literally. And I've mentioned this in some of the talks that I've given. The only limits, the only boundaries that we have are the ones that we impose on ourselves. If someone would have told me I was going to go through this experience, I would have said there's no way, no how I could show up in the world with a smile on my face. And I'm me, and I did it. So I just want people to know that nothing is impossible. Literally, we are capable of so much more than we could ever even dream, and it just takes a little courage and a lot of hard work, but we can all do it. Every one of us can. My name is Chelsea Dinsmore, and this is True Life Stories.
Well, if you'd like to know more about Live Your Legend and how you can be part of the movement, go to truelifestories.com.au. I'm Annie Gishuru. Thanks for your company.